What are those ingredients that take you from community to true belonging?
That's the dose, and so I talk about dose quite a bit in my book, and not to get too scientific, but we have these 4 happy brain chemicals, right? Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins.
And I love that abbreviation, by the way. It makes it so easy to remember.
Dose. And the fact that no one has put that together, because it's like because dose, you think of medicine and drugs,
right?
But you can actually train your brain to release your natural dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, if you actually have the intention, right, to create experiences that inspire that release. So in other words, at Daybreaker, we actually design our experiences to release your dose.
So let's go into the DOSC.
Okay, so let's
start with dopamine.
So the dopamine you get from pleasure reward of waking up early in the morning. So you're hitting your snooze button, the dopamine rush of, oh my gosh, I'm waking up at 4 a.m., it's dark outside, I'm going to dance in the morning before going to work. That's the dopamine rush. Dopamine rush you also get from listening to music, right? Music is a very, very big dopamine release for you. Oxytocin you get from touch. We are so physically starved for affection. Americans are the #1 porn viewer in the world. And yet a famous study showed that Americans touch each other upwards of once in a conversation compared to Mexicans who touch each other upwards of 180 times in a conversation. Right. So we are we're replacing our need for touch with sex and pornography, right? So oxytocin, so at Daybreaker, we're very, very focused on really connecting human to human.
Why is it that in American culture there is this starvation for touch?
Because we live in a religious world, a religious country where it's still it's still so forbidden, and versus European culture where it's like free love, and you know, so this country is still very pious, you know, so and because of it, we are hiding still, you know, around that. So we replace so
in true communities there's that safe space that allows people to give each other hugs rather than shake
And we're
hands.
also very litigious in this country too. So literally, I saw in the news the other day, an employer just went like this to his employee, like, you know, like, you'll get through it, and she sued him for touching his leg, and his whole career is down the drain.
Just for
touching her leg like that. So we live in a deeply litigious world where everyone's afraid to touch each other now. They don't know how to do it anymore. So at Daybreaker, we have consensual hugs at the door. Our MC prompts you.
Now, how do you create a consensual hug? Is that just an understanding?
No, we actually, because we've had a lot of discussions about this from different community members who have dealt with sexual trauma, and they came to me and they said, hey, here's how I want to be hugged at the door at Daybreaker. If, you know, right now when someone hugs me, goes to hug me, and I say, no thank you, I don't want a hug, they feel really sad. Right? So instead of feeling really sad and showing that, which makes me feel bad, they can just high five me and say, good job, like, way to know what you need, your boundaries.
Awesome.
You know, so stuff like that, right? So just thinking about those little kind of nodes.
That's a really good idea. I think we need to bring it to the Mindvalley community.
With consensual sort of like touch and hugs, and so then when you come into this space,
we're a hugging culture.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Not everybody likes to be hugged.
That's right.
Right, but I love the high five idea.
Yeah, instead of like, because like I used to be, if someone didn't want a hug from me, I'd be like, oh man, like why not, you know?
Right.
But now I'm like, hey, do you like you got this, you know? And it really feels good.
Let's go back there. So serotonin is being released when you feel what?
A sense of worth and a sense of gratitude and a sense of sort of, this is bigger than me, right? The serotonin dump you get from like, whoa, like I'm euphoric in this idea that we are all one, that we are all community, we're all in community together, right? And our MCs we train across the world to tell our community members, hey, we're all in this together, you know, like we have so many different sort of one-liners that we train our community, our MCs.
I love how deliberate and scientific you are about this.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's important because people leave and they're like, wow, it feels so good.
And then the final one
and then
is
the endorphins, of course, you get from runner's high, the workout, the sweating.
From the dancing.
Right. So you're burning upwards of 400-500 to 1,000 calories.